Hello and welcome to Treasure in Every Verse. I'm your host, author and Bible teacher Kevin Madison. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, friends, we're back. And last time we were here, we were talking about Matthew 24. We were also showing you the difference between the three Gospels and why the three Gospels were different. And one of the things that I really wanted to point out when we see Matthew, and even though it says something similar, I pointed out to you that they weren't exactly the same. And what do we learn from that? It's this right here, folks. When we look at the Gospels, right? When you look at all three versions of what happened, you quickly see that the questions that they asked were different. All right. And because the questions that they're asking is different, in Mark and Luke, they only ask one question. In Matthew, they ask three. So if you don't pick up on that little subtle change, you're going to think that they're all the same. Now, when Jesus answered the question, he did something. And if you don't pay attention to what Jesus did in his answer to the question, you're gonna get confused. Why? Because when Jesus was answering the question, so let's look at it. So Jesus answers the disciples' question, right? It's a cue. So he answers those questions. Now, how did he answer the questions? And this is the exact same pattern that we see in the book of Revelation. So I'm just going to say Gospels, right? In the Gospels, in Matthew 24, in Mark 13, and in Luke 21, what do we see? We see the answers coming present, then Jesus gives an answer and it pertains to the future. Then he comes back to the present, then he goes back to the future. He does that over and over and over again. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss the fact that that's exactly what he did. Now, when we come here to the tribulation, well, I shouldn't say tribulation. I really should say revelation because everything in Revelation is in tribulation. So let's go Revelation. When we go to the book of Revelation, what do we see? You see in chapters 1 through 3, he's talking about the past, or should I say the past, what John has seen, and I'll just enclose it here. Then he talks about the present, which is the church. But within the church, hey, he also comes and he talks about future events in the church. So not just the present event where John was living in the church, Jesus in chapters 1 through 3 talks about future events. Then when you get to chapters 4 and 5, the rapture takes place. The first verse in chapter 4 talks about the rapture. Then what happens? Everything is future in heaven. The events in chapter 4 and 5 all take place in heaven. It starts off with the rapture. Then it never comes back to the earth. Everything that you see and read in chapters 4 and 5, all of it, friends, all of it is taking place in heaven. Then he gets to chapter 6, all the way through chapter 19. And what do you see? You see a pattern just like this. You see in chapter 6, he starts off in the future. Well, you can just say it's all in the future. All of this now is future tense. And in the future, so I'm going to do it like this. In the future, it starts off showing Christ in heaven. Then it goes to the earth. Then the next chapters go to heaven. Remember, everything's in the future. Then it goes back to the earth. Then back to heaven. And then back to the earth. It just goes like that over and over and over again. And you have to be paying close enough attention to know which events are happening in heaven. Because it doesn't always say heaven. Like chapter 13, for example. No, let's go to chapter 12. Chapter 12. It says there's a woman. Then it tells you the location of the woman. Then it tells you there's this dragon. Give you the location. Well, not every chapter does that. And not every time you see an angel, it's in heaven. So you can't say every time I see an angel, it's in heaven. No, not in the book of Revelation. No, it's not like that. You have to really be paying attention to see exactly where they are, because it makes a huge difference, friends. A huge difference. It comes about with timing, and it also comes about with the events that are unfolding. And you're going to see that God is actually orchestrating all these things. No one else is in charge. God has a plan, friends, and he has a single plan. And that plan is to fit his own purpose and his own will. And it does not matter whatsoever what any of his creatures do. I'm talking angels or men. It doesn't matter. Why? Because God is sovereign. And he has a single plan that he's been executing from the time before he created anything. And it's all for the glory of the praise of his glory. That's it, friends. Okay, so why did I bring this up? Because you have to be cognizant of what's going on in these books. And when you're reading it, if you can, when you get there and you see it, I'm going to show you one instance. I'm going to go to the book of Luke, and I'm going to show you in Luke exactly what I showed you right here, or wrote down here. Now that you have a visual in your mind, let's go look. Watch this. So let's go to Luke chapter 21, and I'll show you exactly what I was talking about just now. Come on, thing. And you're going to see it. You're going to see it clear. I mean, it's not going to take you much to. Board is acting up. Oh, I don't have it close enough. Oh, come on. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. All right. Now watch. They asked the question. Now they're sitting on the Mount of Olives. Here's the question that they asked, that single question. And now he tells them, hey, don't be deceived. And the time is drawing near. You're going to hear wars and rumors of wars, all that stuff. Now look, he comes here and he's still talking about the future. Right here. If you start at verse 12, he's talking future. This is Revelation right here. All of these two verses. This is Revelation. Jesus is pointing out events that's happened in Revelation in the future. Then he comes back right here, starting at verse 12. They, the disciples, this happened to them. You go start reading in Acts chapter 2 and go all the way through chapter 9, 10 until Peter and Paul. You sort of see the split in Acts. It starts off with the original apostles, then a conversion of Paul. And then all of a sudden, all the rest of the disciples and apostles disappear. And the only one that's really being talked about is Paul. Why? Because there's a transition happening in Acts. Paul is the apostle to the Gentiles. Peter and the rest of the apostles were sent to the Jews. And that's why Paul dominates the New Testament. Okay, but here you see this is present. Right? So you start off with verse 10 in the future. Verse 12 gets to the present. Let's go down. So he says, hey, settle all this stuff. You're going to be hated. Here's your patience. Then boom, he comes to Jerusalem and he starts talking about all those things that's going to come. This is still all present. Now watch right here. At the time when they were doing this in Jerusalem, did the sun, and this is the thing you got to ask yourself, there will be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. Earth distress. Did this happen when they were being persecuted in Jerusalem? No. No, there were no signs in the sun. There were no moon being darkened and the stars falling in the earth and everybody on the earth being distressed and perplexed, seas and waves roaring. There was none of that. So again, this is all future. So you see what the Lord Jesus did? He gave them answers for the present. Then he went to the future. Then he came back to the present. Then now he's going back to the future. And look at this. Men's hearts failing them. Why? From fear and the expectation of those things that are coming on the earth. Well, when did that happen? When did that happen? It haven't happened. Revelation chapter 6, though, tells you this verse right here. This is straight out of Revelation chapter 6. This is the sixth seal. So you see what God is doing? And then you go right here. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. What in the world is that? You say, oh no, that's the sun, the moon, and the stars. Listen, folks. This is all connected. Now, let me show you how this works. Watch this. And there will be signs. So it's connected. Signs, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. They are all connected. All of this is going to be happening at the same time. Do you see that? It's happening at the same time. So you can't say this is only the sun, the moon, the stars, or the powers of heaven. No, friend, because everything right there is happening. This is a separate event. What event is this? This is definitely coming out of Revelation chapter 12. So we see this event right here is coming out of Revelation chapter 12. That's when Satan and the demons get kicked out of heaven. That's the power of the heavens. So these are demonic stuff. This is angel. That's happening in heaven. He tells you right here, heaven. And they will see after that, here's another event. Of course, all this stuff is in the future. That's what I want to show you.